I was on cruise control on the highway, but I found that the brakes were useless. No matter how hard I stepped on the brakes, the speed remained at 100 kilometers per hour. There was a large truck in front of me on the right. On the left, there was a white sedan driving at a snail's pace in the overtaking lane, side by side with the truck. My wife was feeding the baby snacks in the back seat. She saw that the car was about to crash and asked me why I didn't slow down. I turned and looked at her. I looked into her eyes in the rearview mirror and said bitterly, "Fasten your seat belts and hold on to the handlebars. And I love you." As I honked the horn desperately, my wife had already anticipated what was happening. The car in front was still driving at a snail's pace, probably only about 70 miles per hour. I hate cars that slow down in the passing lane. The problem is, I can't brake. Ikahaku, Wang Jianya, and himself. The car rushed out, and the huge force made the car body lose balance. I quickly turned on the lane change assist and tried to hold the steering wheel tightly. The faster you go, the less you should panic. If you accidentally miss the target. My wife and my children were in the car. Our lives were hanging by a thread, but he didn't think he was wrong. He just thought we were the ones who maliciously rear-ended and hit and run. Sure enough, the white car soon caught up again. The front of his car was clearly smashed to pieces, but he still refused to let us go. I could only maintain a speed of 100 kilometers per hour, but he stepped on the accelerator and rushed ahead of us. My heart skipped a beat, and I had a bad feeling. Suddenly, his car window opened. A bucket of freshly eaten instant noodles was thrown out of his car and hit my windshield directly. The instant noodle soup directly covered my glass, making it impossible for me to see what was ahead. I quickly activated my windshield wipers, but my windows were coated with a film of oil. We couldn't see anything in front of us. The more I scraped off the oil film, the dirtier it became. I could only scrape off the instant noodles first and let the rest dry naturally, which allowed me to barely see clearly ahead. My wife was sitting in the back, shaking with tears, but she quickly picked up her phone and called the traffic police. My husband and I were on the highway, and our brakes broke. A car deliberately stopped us and threw instant noodles at us. "Please, police, please save our family." Wiping away tears, the wife connected her phone to Bluetooth and cried, "Honey, the police want to ask for directions, but I don't know where it is." After connecting to Bluetooth, I said, "We just passed the Huangjiadan Expressway exit. How far is the nearest escape lane?" There was silence for a few seconds, and then they said, 80 kilometers. We will do our best to protect you." In an instant, I felt hopeless. 80 kilometers, almost the distance between the two cities. The white car was still driving in the same lane as mine, and the owner of the car was cursing at me. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I knew it must be very unpleasant. Most importantly, an emergency lane had begun to appear ahead. At this time, if I could change lanes to the emergency lane, it would greatly increase our family's chances of survival. "I am better." I turned around and glanced at my daughter. She was still babbling and had no idea that she was going through a crisis. She held the biscuit and waved her hands happily. I forced a smile and said to my daughter, "Baby, call me Daddy." She has never called him Daddy. If I were to die here today, at least I want to hear her call me Daddy. My daughter giggled at me, shook the biscuit, and said, "Apu apu." Seeing that I didn't change position, my wife hurriedly came to pull my clothes. My nose felt sore, and I whispered, "Don't use the baby as an excuse. Listen carefully." I wiped away my tears and spoke with sobs. "I've never believed in ghosts in my life, but if I can meet you again, I hope there is an afterlife." My wife looked at me blankly. But then, my heart tightened. Because of the white car, we overtook again from the right lane. I don't know what he wants to do, but any of his actions make me vary. At the same time, at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour, it pierced through the passenger seat and nailed my wife. "On your shoulders." I turned around and saw my wife in the back seat nailed to the seat by a screwdriver. She was covering her shoulder and bleeding profusely. For a moment, my brain went blank. I kept thinking of one thing in my head. Kill him. Yuanmu's smiling daughter burst into tears out of fear. I looked at her. A shard of glass had pierced her face. She struggled to grab the screwdriver and pulled hard. She rushed to her daughter and said anxiously, "Baby, Don't be afraid." My wife checked our daughter's wound and cried weakly to me. The baby's face was scratched. There was glass stuck in the flesh. I dare not move. When I looked at this scene in the rearview mirror, my heart was broken. Just now, my wife was peeling grapes for me in the back seat, and my daughter was holding some cookies and laughing happily. I once saw a news report about a naughty kid throwing rocks onto a highway. The rocks not only shattered the windshield, but also caused the heads of the people in the car to explode, killing them instantly. Just today, my family came so close to this horrible death. But now I have to calm down. No matter how much my heart aches, you must use reason to suppress it and protect the safety of your family. At this moment, the white car in front of me suddenly raised its middle finger to me again. In an instant, I suddenly had a bold and feasible method. The white car always likes to run in front of me to throw things. So can I just follow behind his car and let him clear the way for me? If there is an obstacle in front, he will definitely avoid it for me first. The white car, which originally took the initiative, now began to become very passive. My wife also saw my intention. She covered her wound and said weakly, "Honey, follow closely." I nodded and followed the white car with full concentration. He seemed to have become more obedient and drove forward steadily. But suddenly, something unexpected happened. The white car suddenly changed lanes to the left at such a fast speed that he almost hit the guardrail. Thanks to my instinct to use the white car as a shield, I also changed lanes urgently when he changed lanes. It was then that I realized there was a large box on the road ahead. It was probably dropped by a truck on the road. This white car still wants to kill me. He deliberately changed lanes when the distance was so close, hoping that I would hit him and cause a car accident and death. I felt a chill on my back, but I continued to follow him closely. When I turned the steering wheel towards the guardrail, the white car suddenly accelerated and changed lanes, and my speed immediately increased. I was so anxious that I yelled, "Hold on tight." The car crashed hard into the guardrail. An experienced driver would let the empty passenger seat take the impact. But I couldn't move because my family were in the car. I have to carry it with my own body. The hood of the car was blown off by the guardrail. I turned the steering wheel to the left, making the car body stick close to the guardrail to achieve the effect of slowing down. But even so, when we hit the tree, the car was going nearly 50 kilometers per hour. With a loud bang, I tried to press my body backwards, but under the huge inertia of the collision, I couldn't stop my body from falling forward. The airbag popped out and hit my chest hard, making my eyes go black and almost making me unable to breathe. I tried to breathe deeply, but it felt like something was blocking my chest, causing my heart to palpitate, my head to turn dizzy, and my vision to go black. I'm going to open Queen City, but the guy from the science and engineering school was still an idiot, driving recklessly on the highway, and wanted to run after rear-ending me. But now I've defeated him. Really, in his eyes, he thought I was the bad guy. I rolled down the window, but before I could say anything, he grabbed my hair and slapped me hard in the face. "Keep going. Don't you like to honk the horn randomly? Don't you like to hit and run? Today you ran into me. Let me tell you, I will never tolerate you rubbish." I couldn't speak at all. I know, there's no point in me saying anything. He will just think I'm lying and that I'm deceiving him. When someone is determined to make trouble, any legitimate reason will become an excuse. Now, I only care about the safety of my wife and children in the back seat, because I noticed that the car has started to smoke. I am very worried that the car will catch fire. I tried to pull my legs out, but the console held my legs tightly. My leg is fine. The problem is that I can't pull it out. I tried to adjust the seat back, but the problem was that there was a safety seat behind me that blocked my chair. If I adjusted it further back, it would be on top of my daughter. The driver of the white car saw that I was still struggling, and he laughed. "Look at what kind of character you are now. Why did you go crazy in the first place?" I yelled, "Can you please call an ambulance first? My wife and children are in the car." He shrugged and said innocently, "If they die, they die. They are your wife and children, not mine." He took out his phone and filmed me, saying, "Look, this rubbish car is starting to burn. Soon the whole family will burn to death. This is the retribution for reckless driving." I was extremely anxious. If this continues, my family will really die here. At this moment, my wife suddenly moved. She looked at me dazedly and said weakly, "Husband." I heard her shouting, and I said excitedly, "Wife, the car is going to catch fire. Take our daughter down first." She struggled to sit up. Because a screwdriver had pierced her right shoulder, she could only use her left hand to unfasten her daughter's seatbelt. After she finally untied it, she asked me anxiously, "Why don't you come out yet? I'm stuck. Take my daughter out first." The wife didn't dare to delay it this time. She picked up her daughter with one hand, opened the car door with force, and finally got out of the car. After she got down, she cried and said to me, "Hubby, you come down too." The front of the car was already on fire. I tried hard, but it was no use. The wife was so anxious that she said to the driver of the white car, "Why are you just standing there? You are the one who caused all this trouble. Why didn't you save the man?" The driver of the white car glanced at my wife, then slowly walked to my car. He suddenly took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth. Then he lowered his head, lit the cigarette with the fire from my car, and chuckled. "In your next life, drive well." After saying that, he turned around and left in a cool manner. The wife was anxious, so she put her daughter down and pulled his arm. "Why didn't you save her? How many times are you going to harm our family?" The driver of the white car suddenly slapped my wife hard on the face. My wife fell to the ground, and the driver pointed at her nose. The son cursed, "Because your whole family is garbage. You are all scum on the road, scum. I saved him today. I don't know how many innocent families will be killed by him in the future." The wife covered her face and cried, "Our brakes were broken, and you deliberately stepped on the brakes in front of us." The driver of the white car said impatiently, "It's not that your brakes are broken, it's that your conscience is broken." I watched my wife being beaten, and my hatred reached its peak. At this time, my wife wanted to come to my rescue, and I said anxiously, "Don't worry about me. Just take care of our daughter. Now that my daughter is no longer in the car, I don't have to worry about crushing her." I insist on pushing the seat back, and the safety seat and the driver's seat are crushed and damaged, gradually leaving space for my legs. The driver of the white car still felt unsatisfied, so he suddenly raised his leg and kicked my wife hard in the face, yelling, "If you hadn't honked the horn so hard at the beginning, there wouldn't have been so much trouble." I hate it most when people keep honking their horns. At this moment, my legs can finally move. The car also caught fire. I felt very burned and managed to escape with great difficulty. The driver of the white car saw me in such a mess. He laughed and said, "I am so happy. You beast. Will you dare to drive recklessly again in the future?" I gasped and walked towards the driver of the white car. He said smugly, "I'm telling you, the police will be here soon. You're involved in a hit-and-run accident. You're done for. I'll tell the police exactly what you did." I ignored him and squatted down to check on my daughter. She was in tears and her face was covered in blood. But she wasn't crying now. Seeing me coming, she suddenly stretched out her two little hands to me, asking me to hug her and comfort her. This scene is more heartbreaking to me than crying. At this time, a passing car stopped beside us. The driver asked us, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" I said gratefully, "Please take my wife and children to the hospital." The other party quickly said it was no problem, but the driver of the white car was still cursing at me. "Brother, don't help. This family has no manners. If you send them to the hospital, they will run away immediately." I said coldly, "I won't get in the car. I'll stay here." I told myself this just now. If I survived, I would skin this beast alive. But I am a reasonable man, and I will not fight with anyone in front of my wife and children. The driver who came later was a kind man and quickly arranged for my wife and children to get in the car. I thanked him gratefully and asked him to take the patient to the nearest hospital. My wife rolled down the window and said to me worriedly, "Husband." I said gently, "It's okay. I'll stay and take care of it. Don't worry." My wife shook her head and said while crying, "Husband, beat him." I laughed. In the past, my wife would always tell me to calm down no matter what happened. But today, she issued an unprecedented order. I stroked her head and whispered, "Okay." They set off. I watched the car drive away and turned to look at the driver of the white car. He even recorded the screen with his phone. "You heard it. This couple said they wanted to beat me up. They still don't know they are wrong, and they want to use violence to intimidate me. I don't understand this era. Why do people use their phones to take pictures of people when something happens? Do you think whoever holds the phone is right? I walked towards the driver of the white car, and he sneered at me and said, "Try to touch me. I tell you, if you dare to touch me, I will just lie down on the ground." I asked, "Why are you driving over 70 in the passing lane on the freeway?" He said impatiently, "What's your business? You're the one who rear-ended me and fled. I'm in the right. Go ahead and hit me. You're not in the right, but you're hitting me. I just want to change my Mercedes. Hurry up and stop talking nonsense." I threw my phone at the driver. He asked, "What are you doing? Are you still going to hit me with your phone?" I said, "It contains the conversation record between me and the police. When we were rear-ended, my brakes broke and I asked the police for help." He looked at the phone screen and his expression suddenly turned ugly. I said, "I didn't run away from the accident. Instead, you kept racing me on the road, deliberately braked, and threw things at my car. You were suspected of dangerous driving and intentional injury when you knew that it would cause serious consequences. Do you know? You are going to jail." He controlled my phone in disbelief and said blankly, This. I walked up to him and looked him straight in the eyes. The driver of the white car swallowed and said, "Wait a minute, brother. There seems to be a misunderstanding. I braked incorrectly at that time." I shook my head and said, "You don't know you're wrong. You just know you're going to die." In an instant, his face changed drastically, and he was so scared that he dropped the cigarette. He quickly ran back. But this is a green belt inside the guardrail. How can he run fast? Didn't he throw a screwdriver at his wife a second ago? Hot reviews. More reviews. I said coldly, "You've passed the driving test, right? Besides being rude, what does honking the horn mean?" He said, "Prompt. Early warning." I roared, "If you don't like the sound of speakers, then forget about it." I pressed his head to the ground. He resisted frantically, but I had already picked up the burning cigarette butt and stuffed it hard into his ear canal. Under the burning of the cigarette, he screamed hysterically, his body struggling and twisting, and I grabbed the cigarette and twisted it hard in his ear, roaring, "Since you know it means early warning, why are you pretending here?" He cried, "Let me go? Let me go now." How could I let go? The driver of the white car tried to push me away, but I had already pressed my whole body on his head and hit his ears hard. He screamed in pain, and I sneered, "You don't like to listen to the loudspeaker, right? I'll let you listen to it enough." "Hey." I dragged him to the white car, opened the door, and said coldly, "Is your left ear deaf from the burn? Don't want the other one either." I grabbed his hair and slammed him hard on the steering wheel. The horn of the white car suddenly sounded, and I pressed his head against it. The strong horn sound made him scream in discomfort. He started to raise his foot and kick my chest, trying to kick me away. I was in pain, but I didn't give in. I let him kick me in the chest again and again. This palpitation is far less than the fear that my family members felt on the highway just now. Since he wants to kick, then kick as much as you want. I also raised my foot and kicked him on the head again and again. Just now he kicked my wife in the head. Now I will return it to him tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. He huddled on the steering wheel, yelling, I was wrong. I was really wrong. I didn't care about his pleas for mercy at all, because just now he almost killed my entire family. My beloved family members almost lost their lives at the hands of this beast. I will not be soft-hearted or merciful at all. In my mind, the only images were of my wife crying and my daughter with blood all over her face, stretching out her little hands to me for a hug. You just threw away the screwdriver and instant noodles, didn't you? Come on, do you have anything else? I searched his car and actually found instant noodles and a wrench in the passenger seat drawer. He had thrown the screwdriver away long ago. He shouted anxiously, Don't mess around. Someone might die. I asked, When you threw things at me on the highway, did you ever think someone might die? I picked up the wrench and remembered that my wife's shoulder was pierced by the screwdriver, so I hit him hard on the shoulder. I heard the sound of bones breaking. Even though he was screaming like a pig being slaughtered, I could hear the sound. He was writhing like a maggot, and this was the only way he could do it. I took my time and hit him on the other shoulder. Both shoulders were broken, and he passed out from the pain. I said nothing, but opened the instant noodles package and said coldly, "You like instant noodles very much, don't you? Come, I'll feed you." The driver of the white car fainted and lay on the ground, and I picked up the half bottle of mineral water in the car, poured the chili oil and chili powder into the bottle, and shook it vigorously to mix them evenly. Then I pressed his face and poured the chili water into his nose. The driver of the white car, who had fainted, suddenly woke up under this intense stimulation and coughed hard in pain, trying to cough out the chili oil in his lungs. I yelled, "Who told you to cough?" Just like he had slapped me in the mouth just now, I smashed the wrench into his mouth. I broke several of his teeth. He fell to the ground, twitching and coughing constantly, and what he coughed out was not just chili oil, but also blood. I stepped on his head and said seriously, "I have something to say to you. What I hate most is scum. You were driving on the highway at a snail's pace, occupying the passing lane and deliberately braking the car behind you and throwing objects out. If I let you go so easily today, you don't know how many innocent people you will kill." He tried hard to get up, but he had no strength left. "I'm going to settle every single debt. There is still one account that has not been settled, and that is my daughter's little face." I grabbed his hair and pulled him up. He gasped in pain and said, "Stop hitting me. If you hit me again, I will be beaten to death." I whispered, "It's you who died, not me." After saying that, I grabbed his head and slammed it hard against the car window. 1, 2, 3. The car window was finally broken. His face was covered with broken glass and blood. He finally knelt on the ground and pleaded with me. I was wrong. "I'm sorry." Just then, I heard sirens in the distance. I squatted down, took one of his cigarettes and lit it. I sat on the green belt, leaning against the trees, listening to the police cars getting closer. At this time, the phone rang. I picked up the phone and heard my wife's voice. "Honey, we're at the hospital." I hummed and said softly, "Are you and your daughter okay?" "Wait a minute, I'll tell you." There was some noise on the other end of the line. I heard my wife encouraging me. "Daughter, scream again. Just like you did just now, scream again." I heard a very gentle and tender voice, softly calling, "Dad." At this moment, my nose felt sore and tears finally fell. In fact, I really wanted to cry just now. I was so scared and panicked, but I held it in and endured it. At this moment, I finally couldn't hold it in anymore and sat on the ground crying. The call for Dad was very childish and unskilled, but I finally heard it. I said, "Well, the police are here. I might have to go to jail for a few years. Wait for me." "Did you hit him?" "I've got it. Don't worry." I hung up. The police finally arrived. The police car drove up to us and stopped. When they saw this scene, they were all stunned. A policeman couldn't help but say, "Aren't the brakes broken? Why does it look like a fight?" The driver of the white car was lying on the ground, crying, "Police, save me." I spread my hands and said, "I'm sorry, I just couldn't help it." I got in the police car. I was taken to the police station, and the police told me that they had already closed all the entrances ahead and had police cars ready to escort us, but they didn't expect that we would cause a commotion on the way. Fortunately, the police came to look for me together, so they caught up with me earlier. My wife was safely sent to the hospital, and both mother and daughter were fine. Fortunately, the screwdriver that pierced my wife's shoulder did not damage any important nerves or bones. The driver of the white car was very arrogant. After he was treated, he strongly demanded that I must pay a heavy price. Anyone who has experienced this knows that he just wants more compensation. So I gave in to his wishes and told the police, "It's okay. The sentence should be given. I won't pay him a penny more. We can discuss our own affairs. Go to jail together." After I expressed my thoughts, the driver of the white car panicked. They organized several negotiations, but I rejected them all. In the end, the driver of the white car became anxious and even proposed that both parties settle the matter, with no one asking for compensation and no one suing each other. Unfortunately, I still refused to reconcile. My meaning was very clear. I spent my whole life taking the civil service exam. What if I couldn't take the exam? Would it endanger the family's life if I vented my anger for my daughter? How could such a scum be let off just because his daughter couldn't take the civil service exam? My daughter didn't take the civil service exam, not because she didn't want to. More comments. Is it glorious to go to jail? Plus, actually, there is no reason. Just because I am the owner of a small workshop, although I don't make much money, I got in and my small factory is still open. But the driver of the white car is different. I learned that he was a senior executive of the company. Now he has nothing. Who would hire a criminal as a corporate executive? I lost my job and my future, and it was not pleasant to talk about it. Finally, the court made the decision. The driver of the white car was suspected of intentional injury, dangerous driving, and traffic accident, and was sentenced to 3 years. I was not surprised at all to learn this result. It was because I knew he would receive a light sentence that I beat him. I broke both of his shoulders and burned one of his ears, precisely because I knew that the end result would not make me feel better. I know that the punishment for dangerous driving is very light. Unless it causes serious consequences such as the death of people, no matter how annoying the behavior is, the final sentence is detention. Even his traffic accident crime was not because he hurt my family. Because this guy was found fully responsible by the traffic police, and he was involved in dangerous driving, the insurance company refused to pay, and the damage to my car exceeded 300,000 yuan, and he was unable to bear it. So he was charged with this traffic accident. Sometimes, the cost of breaking the law is really low. Society is still progressing, and we can only hope that the law will be more perfect in the future. He almost killed my wife and children, and I don't want him to just accept the punishment of the law. I also want him to bear my anger. In comparison, I would have been sentenced much more severely. However, the court took into consideration the threat to the lives of my wife and daughter at the time and ultimately sentenced me to 3 years. I'm fine. I can write letters from prison. Plus, my wife would bring our daughter to see me and would also write to me asking me how to deal with things at the factory, and I would tell her everything. When my business partners heard about my experience, they all asked their wives to tell me not to worry and that they would definitely take good care of my orders. Although I was in prison, my family's financial life was not affected at all. I just missed my wife and children. When my wife came to see me, she said the driver of the white car was in a very bad situation. Of course, his company fired him and he didn't get any compensation. The family's house had to be sold in a hurry because they could not pay off the loan, and they were back to the time before liberation. Because he was found fully responsible, his family is now in dire straits. After all, the compensation amount for railings and other items is not a small amount. It is said that his wife and children have all run away, and he has become a lonely man, with nothing left and a lot of debts. I just smiled and told my wife to wait for me to transform. She gently said she would wait for me. I behaved well in prison and was released after 2 years and 10 months. On the day I was released from prison, my wife and daughter came to pick me up. Over the past 2 years, my wife has been showing my daughter photos and teaching her about her father. So my daughter was not afraid of strangers. As soon as she saw me, she ran towards me, stretched out her arms, and called me Dad. I picked her up, kissed her hard on the face, and said gently, "Well, Daddy is back." I turned to my wife and asked, "Have you been bullied during the time I was away?" She said, "Your deeds are so brave. Who dares to bully us?" By the way, the driver of the white car has also been released. Then what? Then he committed suicide. He lost everything and couldn't live anymore. What a joke. Yeah, it's funny. I carried my daughter into the car, patted her head, and said gently, "Scream again." She called sweetly in my arms, "Daddy." That's good.